What's going on, everyone? We've got some NFL drama coming out of Indianapolis as the Indianapolis Colts have selected Daniel Jones to be their starting quarterback going into this season, and everyone is up in arms because Anthony Richardson is not named the starter. Well, I shouldn't say anybody, because some people are actually happy and think that this is good for Anthony Richardson. And to be frank, I don't think this is bad for Anthony Richardson. I think it's better than putting him out there and having him struggle again. And ultimately, maybe that is the end of his NFL career. At this point, there's no pressure on Anthony Richardson. I think he can sit back, watch Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones, for whatever reason, gets benched or has the unfortunate event of getting hurt, now there's no pressure on Anthony Richardson. He's got a couple extra weeks to be prepared, come in there, and he could be a spark. You never know. Maybe that helps him. Sometimes taking a step back can help you take 2 steps forward. So I am surprised by this move because the Colts invested a lot in selecting Anthony Richardson number 4 a couple years ago in the draft, but he's still young. And at the end of the day, if he's not ready, he's not ready. And people are bothered that it seems that the Colts didn't prep him. And what was the long-term plan for this kid? The long-term plan for this kid was that he was going to be a franchise quarterback and that he was going to be good right away. And that didn't work out. When you pick somebody fourth, they're going into the season being a starter. That's why Caleb Williams last year was the starter for the Bears. Jaden Daniels was the starter. I guess Drake May, you could say, wasn't the starter, so the Patriots did it differently, and that's totally fine. But had they started Drake May, hey, that's what you selected someone that high for. So I don't think it was unfair to start Anthony Richardson from the get-go as soon as he got drafted. I just think that, unfortunately, the kid wasn't ready. And you might have drafted a kid that, was not ready for the big leagues. And that's what happens. And that is what it is. But people feeling sorry for Anthony Richardson and saying that he wasn't given a good opportunity. He was given a great opportunity. He was picked 4th in the NFL draft. What more opportunity do you want? Now, if he wasn't ready, that's too bad. And you could put some blame on the organization for not having a roster built right around him, for sure, or coaching, for sure. But there's also accountability on Anthony Richardson. Maybe he shouldn't have gotten picked 4th. Why can't we just say that? So maybe the Colts made a mistake drafting him 4th. And that is where the mistake is. Maybe it wasn't about holding his hand through the season. I don't think anyone was holding Jaden Daniels' hand through the season last year. And the kid balled out. And he showed that he was a great investment and pick for the Washington Commanders. So that's just how it goes sometimes. Now, the other storyline around the league is Trey Hendrickson, because, oh my God, the Bengals are thinking about trading Trey Hendrickson. What did y'all think was going to happen? Everyone that's screaming about pay the man, pay the man, pay the man, you guys want everybody paid. It doesn't work that way. This isn't baseball. This is the NFL. There's a salary cap. So when you're saying pay the man, okay, I'd be with you if you want to pay the man Trey Hendrickson because the Bengals defense is horrible. But then you couldn't have been screaming pay the man for a number 2 wide receiver in T. Higgins, because I haven't heard anyone in mainstream media say, all right, maybe don't pay the man. Everybody apparently has to get paid in the NFL. And where is that going to leave the roster building? So I think the last thing the Bengals needed to do is be looking to trade their best defensive player. But I also think they shouldn't have paid top money for a number 2 wide receiver. That's where I think the mistake is in roster building. You have Joe Burrow, the 2nd highest paid quarterback. That's another thing. People are calling the Bengals cheap. Excuse me, cheap? Jamar Chase is the highest paid wide receiver in the whole league. Joe Burrow is the 2nd highest paid quarterback in the whole league. He's getting paid the same as Josh Allen this season. And they're both only trailing Dak Prescott, who had got a crazy contract from the Cowboys, who are also being criticized for not paying the man in Micah Parsons. Maybe we shouldn't have said don't pay the man when it was Dak Prescott's time, and maybe now they would have already paid that Micah Parsons. So I just think it's crazy. We're always criticizing and accusing these teams of not wanting to pull out the pocketbook. Well, that's what happens. There's a salary cap. That's why Tyreek Hill got traded from the Chiefs, because they couldn't just pay the man. The Eagles, who everybody wants to talk to about, look at them. They pay everybody. Do they pay everybody? Because Milton Williams was a top defensive tackle free agent, and he went to the Patriots to get paid because the Eagles weren't paying the man. This is insane, and I can't understand how all these mainstream media people are criticizing the Bengals for not paying Trey Hendrickson. that's fine. But if you want to criticize them having paid the other guys, but I don't hear a peep about that. It's just, why don't you pay him too? That's not right. Let me break this down for you. For the 2025 NFL season, Joe Burrow has a cap hit of $46 million. Jamar Chase, for the 2025 NFL season, has a cap hit of $23.5 million. T. Higgins, $24 million cap hit for the 2025 season. The NFL salary cap this season is $279.2 million. So now 93.5 is gone already because that money is already capped for Burrow, Chase, and Higgins. That leaves the Bengals with $185.7 million left in cap space to fill out 50 roster spots. You know what average that is per player? $3.7 million. Now, is that going to win you a championship? You better be drafting great. And you can criticize the Bengals maybe on not drafting great. That's a fair criticism, but you can't keep expecting teams to pay everybody. Listen, I haven't been high on the Bengals because I think their defense was horrible last year, and it's going to be horrible again because it's not going to get better. And if anything, it might be worse. And I've been saying this all along. I don't think they're going to have a good season because they're not going to be able to stop anybody. They couldn't stop anybody last year. And because they paid Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, that's why they couldn't even be in contention for signing a guy like Milton Williams. So you loaded up on offensive players and paid them top dollar. Jamar Chase is the highest NFL receiver, and number 10 is T. Higgins. You've got two top 10 paid wide receivers on your team when both of those guys can't get the ball on the same play. Maybe there should be some criticism there. You should have traded T. Higgins and gotten some draft picks back. And now you would have had cap space to sign a Trey Hendrickson and possibly some defensive free agents. Again, I don't think the Bengals are the best ran franchise, but I also don't think the answer is pay the man. So if you pay Trey Hendrickson, now you got him taking on a big cap hit for now and the future. So now you got 4 players pretty much getting paid top 10 in their position at worst, because that's T. Higgins is the 10th highest paid wide receiver. Hendrickson's going to be looking around $30 million probably, so he'll be one of the highest paid defensive ends as well. That's going to leave you with less than $3.7 million per player. So you're going to have a roster of 4 incredible players, and the rest of the roster is just going to be average. Some kickers make more than that. You can't even hire a good kicker with that money. So it baffles me how the mainstream media just wants to jump on a team for this. It's just pay the man. All right, how about we use some common sense here and think about roster building? I mean, it's just, I don't get it. I think everyone just wants to criticize the teams because they're the ones that have the money. But ultimately, it doesn't work like that. There's a salary cap. This isn't baseball, like I said earlier, and you're going to have to balance a budget, essentially, and a salary cap. And for people that maybe are like, well, give them more signing bonus and lower the cap hit. All right, then why don't you tell everybody in your community to just refinance the house and put more money down right away? Why don't they just do that? Like, that's not how it works. Like, you can't just expect, just because they're rich people, they're just going to be giving out all the money in the world that they have. They're also trying to make money too. So it's just unrealistic. It's super unrealistic. And we'll see how this all fares out with the Bengals. But look at the offensive line in Joe Burrow's second action in the preseason. Why do you think the O-line's not going to be good? Because you're not going to be able to pay top dollar for offensive linemen when you're paying top dollar for a quarterback, well-deserved. Burrow is very deserving of that salary. You're going to be paying top paid wide receiver in the league, Jamar Chase, very deserving of that salary as well. I'm not criticizing the players here. And you're going to be paying T. Higgins top dollar as well. Is he the 10th wide receiver in the league? Maybe. But even if he was, sometimes you just can't have every toy. You can't do it. You're going to have to get rid of him. You're going to have to trade him. You're going to have to get draft stock back to draft the next T. Higgins. That's how it works. That's why the game is so fun. That's why the NFL is great and has, different teams in the playoffs every year, because there's more to it. You got to draft well. You got to manage all that. again, the Eagles, who seem to be the franchise that everybody loves about how they run things, look at all the guys that they didn't pay. Darius Slay is gone. Milton Williams, incredible defensive tackle, gone. Why? Because they're paying A.J. Brown. Now they have to pay Jalen Hurts. Yeah, so sorry. That's how it works. So annoyed at the mainstream media and how they're handling this whole situation. So anyway, subscribe to my channel. Please comment. I'd love to get into some banter back and forth, what you guys think about this and what the Bengals should do. But if they trade Trey Hendrickson, I mean, wouldn't surprise me. What else are you supposed to do? You got to make room for other players. And if you want to protect Joe Burrow, your highest paid asset, you have to have some money to be able to pay the offensive line. Maybe you shouldn't have paid the man with everybody.